Alright, so it's been over a week of retaining, and I gotta be honest, I didn't realize the bar was set this low. There's been a few times when I've gone like these longer streaks, and I feel like this is gonna be one of them because I've just fucking had enough of just everything, of feeling like a loser for the last few months, of like traumatic shit going on in my life. But now that I'm finally coming over the other side, and it's just suddenly like it's nicer weather and everything like that. I feel like it's all the signs telling me and everything. But regardless of whether it's pouring down with rain or really sunny, I just got fucking fed up again. I fell back into a really like deep rabbit hole, and I just realized now, once I've been retaining for over a week, I didn't realize how low the bar was set in terms of like, you don't actually have to be retaining for that long, first of all, to get amazing results. Amazing results. I'm talking about getting increased energy. I'm talking about getting more drive to, go to the gym or to work on your business, to start making money online. And it's like, all I've been doing is retaining for about like 8 or 9 days. And that's kind of it, really. There's nothing really like extreme to it. I've just been keeping myself busy for the past week or so. And I've managed to like retain for 8 or 9 days now, which is, I try not to look, so that's why I'm saying 8 or 9 days. I don't know the exact number. It's around there, okay? And I've got this 30-day challenge, which I'm in the process of making. So I'm making it as I go along, a bit day by day. If you haven't already, please do go join and start a 30-day challenge with me, because I'm doing it myself. Because I want to, document my results of what I kind of experience, and I want to see like if other people feel the same way, and also just want to get other people on this journey, because once you retain for 30 days, you realize you can do 60 days, and once you do 60 days, you realize what's another 30 days, right? So my ultimate goal, I guess, is to get to a point where I'm not going for a specific day, because I think past a certain day, it's like, you shouldn't really think of it as counting the days. It should just be like a lifestyle. And again, relapsing once isn't like an ultimate failure if you choose to relapse, because you get in the real life experience, right? If you, sleeping with a woman in real life. I'm talking about getting rid of your porn addiction and all of the sort of like dirty habits you have, so that you're saving your semen, your precious seed, for the most important times, or at least for times that are like, actually real and not, fucking fabricated. And the other part about, the bar being set so low is just realize how many people just can't even retain for a week, which is really sad, because at one point I couldn't even retain for like a fucking day, and that's how down bad I was. But if you think, right, what are you really missing out on? What is the benefits of continuing relapsing? What are the drawbacks of actually stopping? And there's only really one benefit to continue like going, and it's getting that instant pleasure. But even then, it's like it only lasts for the time that you do it for. So for however long you're watching porn and everything, you're only getting the pleasure whilst you're doing it. And even then, whilst you're watching it and, you're stroking your chicken or whatever, it's like you're not even really enjoying yourself, because you might be feeling like the pleasure you get in the dopamine release and everything. But if you was to look at the reflection in your technology device or whatever, you realize that you're not actually happy, you're not smiling, you're not enjoying yourself. So it's like, okay, so is there really a benefit to continue doing this? Because what are you ultimately doing it for? You're doing it for ultimately the 5 seconds of like ultimate pleasure. I keep saying ultimate, what the fuck? 5 seconds of the most extreme pleasure that you'll ever get. And you're probably never going to get anything bigger than that in life, any more of a dopamine hit, which is orgasm, right? That is the point of which you get the most kind of dopamine ever. Unless there's some kind of like injection you can get where you can inject dopamine releasage or whatever into you. I don't fucking know, right? Maybe in the future. But as far as we know, that is the most pleasure you can ever experience. And it's no coincidence that after you experience that insane amount of pleasure, the whole world goes grayer. Like you just see less color. It's just like, metaphorically, I guess you could say. But it is honestly, right, even if you don't feel it straight away, because, you get the post-nut clarity as soon as you relapse, right? And you think, oh, okay, this is when I feel the worst. But actually, no, because the actual like part where you feel like crap comes like, a few hours later or even a day or two later. And this is the thing, right? Because I relapsed like obviously like longer than a week ago now. But the last time I relapsed, I had already been retaining for about 4 or 5 days. And up to that point then, I was thinking, oh, this is going well, this is going good. And I relapsed and I realized, oh shit, man, I really need to sort of like get this under control. And I was like, oh, okay, I forgive myself, I go about my day. And I had work the next day. And I just felt, oh my God, I just felt awful on work. As in like, I just had no like energy or drive or anything. And fucking like, I'm not sure if the camera's going to overheat now or something on my phone because it keeps going darker. Honestly, I just felt awful in terms of like, when I say awful, I didn't feel ill or sick or I had to go home or nothing. I didn't have no headaches or nothing like that. But it's like, I just didn't have the extra drive drive that I, really wanted. I'm thinking, I really could benefit from some more energy here, right? It's like, it's just the world is just gently sucked out of me. And that's it. It's like, it's not sort of like this immediate sort of like, oh my God, life is shit or anything. It's the fact that like your life just gets progressively worse. And it's just like, it's horrible. It sucks it out of every single area of your life. It sucks it out of when you do exercise. So when you go to the gym, you just, having balls that are just empty and drained, it just makes you feel like a shell of a man. It doesn't really make me feel like a man at all, right? It makes me feel like a little kid who's got like a lot of addictions and can't control myself and everything. And that's just like a horrible place. I don't want to feel like that. I don't want to feel like a loser anymore, like I said. Fucking, there's bacon in this car. The things I do for you guys, right? I'm recording this video and I'm freaking gonna die from overheating. What goes first, me or my camera? But generally, the bar is set that much lower because there's no one else really doing this. I know I keep saying it, but like generally, like this is the best part about it. And again, it is sad because, you want more people to be on it. But the best part about it is the fact that there's very few people on it. I'm gonna have to put my sunglasses on because I can't fucking see shit here. And my eyes are really sensitive. I don't want to complain about the good weather, honestly. This is like life or death. Like, I'm saying I might make another video about this called like, semen retention is just like a life or death choice. Because even if you choose to live without retaining, you're going to live like not even a third of the potential for your life could be, right? If that makes sense. So I'm sure you can sort of like fill in the blanks there, but like it's like a tenth of what your life could be like. And you just retain for about, oh fucking hell, it's really dark. You just retain for 10 days and you'll see a night and day difference. I'm not kidding you when I say this, right? It is literally the difference between life and death. I'm not saying you're going to die physically, but every other area of life is going to die. You're not going to be able to make the money online that you want to. You're not going to be able to attract the girl you want to in your life. So it's like a lot of people, I know it's really sad, but they would rather choose to not exist than to live a miserable life because, why live a long, miserable existence when you could just live a short one and be at peace? And look, I'm not advocating for like anyone to go and off themselves. I'm just saying this now, like this is like the mindset of the person who is very depressed. And look, this wasn't like me, but I was fucking depressed. I was depressed as fuck, right? And again, for like the 4 months I was employed, going back almost a year ago now, it was one of the worst feelings of my life because even though I didn't have to work like a shitty 9-to-5 job for that time being, it was just horrible looking at my bank account every single day, multiple times a day, thinking, oh fuck, where am I going to get this money from? I'm going to have to ask my parents for another like £200. And I would hold off for time and time again until they would literally ask me, do you need to borrow any more money, Evan? And I would just sort of go like, yeah. And it was horrible, man. And I was fucking like relapsing almost every single day. And I'm thinking, what the fuck am I doing? Like, I wish I'd like, I don't know, discovered this before that semen retention was that big of an impact on my life. I mean, I knew that like, watching porn and everything, do all these bad habits wasn't going to help me, but I didn't realize it was that fucking life changing. I didn't realize that, it only take a few days for me to build some momentum. And again, it only takes about 3 or 4 days before the want to go to the gym comes back. It only takes about 3 or 4 days for the want to work on your business or to start a fucking business. I talk about this all the time about like, wanting to grow your business and everything. The job you're working at right now is probably not what you want to be doing. You're probably working some dead-end job. Maybe you're working a job you don't mind, but it's just because you don't have the energy to sort of like, use for it. You just don't enjoy it that much. And for me now, like I'm stuck in like a boring part-time job, albeit, the job itself is pretty good going. Like the circumstances I'm in is really good compared to my last job when I was working in a fucking warehouse. And that was just not for me, and I don't wish it on anyone. But like, I wasn't creating the best conditions for myself because I was relapsing every single day. So no matter, even if I was doing something that was completely aligned to my career path, like if I was like back in music and I was still really enjoying that, like I wouldn't enjoy it anywhere near as much. It would feel like a fucking graft 24/7. It would feel horrible. It'd feel like I'm working a regular job. And that's because I don't have any life inside of me. You need to realize that you carry the possibility of life inside of your nuts. And look, that sounds like really graphic and everything. I'm telling you now, right? If you're thinking, okay, well, my, balls have the ability to, produce a resource that can produce life. Like, why am I expelling that? Why am I extracting that 24/7? And I know you're probably thinking now, like, oh yeah, I know I shouldn't do it, but it's just too pleasurable. I'm thinking you haven't seen yet what life can be like. You haven't seen the amount of pleasure you can get, like organic, natural pleasure that can come throughout the rest of your days. If you're really retaining, then you're going to experience a lot more, like a higher baseline of like dopamine tolerance or pleasure, whatever the fuck it is, right? You're basically gonna feel happier every day. That's what I'm trying to say, right? But when you're depleting yourself, you're gonna feel shit for, it's gonna be like an underlying sort of sense of just like misery. It's not gonna be like fully there, but it's gonna make you so frustrated, but you're still gonna be drained. So you're not gonna be able to like really feel much anger for it. You're not gonna feel the urgency to change. And this is it, man. You've got to have that urgency to change, even though it's going to be difficult in the first few days, even though the first week might feel like hell for you. But like, I genuinely don't think that it will, because after you go through a couple of days, you realize, okay, I have a little bit more energy. And it's nothing like life-changing after a few days, or at least not for most people it isn't. But just like a week of retaining, and you can't tell me that you feel worse after a week of retaining. Yes, of course, you can experience withdrawal symptoms. Yes, of course, you can feel like, oh man, I really want to relapse. And these healthy urges come back and you don't know how to deal with them because you don't realize you're supposed to feel those urges. Maybe not as extreme as you might get them originally, but you're supposed to have feelings of wanting to release, because that's a healthy man, right? That is a healthy man. You want to reproduce. That is what you should be feeling, but it's your ability to control it. So just know that the bar is set so low that there's so many men out there, right, that could be retaining, and they are literally like a month away from completely changing their lives. I know it sounds fucking cringy, but if you just do 30 days retention with me, right? Okay, that's not why I said with me, but I'm doing this challenge now, this 30-day challenge, and I'll soon be putting this out in my community as well. There'll be a bunch of videos, a video for every single day, tasks for every single day for you to literally follow, and they're really simple. You can get them done, and honestly, 30 days will probably go by faster than you think, okay? It's not going to be easy, but this is the whole point. The first month is going to be the hardest. From the rest, I promise you, it does get easier. That's all I'll say. Have a good one. And as always, remember why you're doing this.